Hi, this is Stan Lyle with MasterMath. During the lesson, you're going to come to some You Try It slides where you're asked to do problems that relate to the lesson. Hit your pause button, try the problem, and then hit the forward key to move on to the answer. I hope you have a really good time today.
Welcome to Phyllis's House of Fashion Fabrics. Today we will be talking about polyester and other fine synthetic fabrics. Synthetic fabrics come in a wonderful range of color and sheen and
get out of here. Yeah, get out of here and don't come back. Jeez. Those darn fashionistas, they've been trying to hijack my website for a couple of months now, and I put up a firewall. I thought that would keep them out. Fashionistas don't like firewalls, especially when they're wearing polyester. But apparently it didn't work. I'm going to have to take some other measures. But today, we haven't time for that. Today, we've got to talk about math. And we're not going to talk about polyester. We're going to talk about polynomials. And we're going to be talking about dividing polynomials. And this lesson has nothing to do with synthetic fabrics, but you are going to learn how to use synthetic division. Have you met the polynomials? Oh, they're a lovely family. They include monomial. Monomial, that's just a single term, like 3x cubed. Also in the family is binomial. Bi means two. And a polynomial with two terms, like 3x cubed plus 2x, is a binomial. If there are three terms, then it's a trinomial, like 3x cubed plus 2x minus 4. Now, when the polynomial family gets together, they like to do some division. So let's do some division with polynomials. Here's a situation where we're dividing a polynomial by a monomial. A monomial is just a single-termed polynomial. Well, the easiest way to do this is to just put that 2x, that single-term monomial, underneath each of the terms in the polynomial and convert it to a fraction. Now we just have to simplify each of these fractions. The two x's in the first fraction cancel each other out and leave just an x. And in the second fraction, our x's cancel out, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So our answer, our quotient, is x plus 3. Here's a situation where we're dividing by a binomial, x plus 1. And in that situation, it's going to be easiest to set this thing up like a standard division problem. I'm going to put my divisor, x plus 1, outside my division symbol. And inside my division symbol, I'll put my dividend, x squared plus 2x minus 2. Now, I've only got two terms in my divisor, x plus 1. So I'm just going to focus on the first two terms of my dividend. And I got to figure out, what do I multiply this x by so that I can eliminate this x squared? Well, if I multiply by x, I'll be subtracting x squared from x squared. So that's what I'll do. I'll multiply x times x plus 1. When I do that, I get x squared plus x. Now, when I subtract those two, my x squares cancel out, and 2x minus x is just x. Now I got to bring down that 2. And I've got x minus 2. How many times will x plus 1 go into x minus 2? Well, again, I'm going to focus on the x. What do I have to multiply the x by so that it'll be the opposite of and cancel out the x down here in my problem? Well, I want to multiply it by 1, positive 1. And when I multiply positive 1 times x plus 1, I get x plus 1. When I do that subtraction, I've got minus 2 minus a positive 1, and I get minus 3. Minus 3 is my remainder. So my answer is the x plus 1 with a remainder of minus 3. And you remember that your remainders, if you put it over your divisor and make a fraction out of it, you've completed your task. So our answer is x plus 1 minus 3 over x plus 1. Now you try this one. Hit the pause button, do the problem, and then hit the forward key to move on to the answer. Okay, let's set this up like a division problem. A minus 1 into a squared minus 5a plus 3. We're going to just deal with the first two terms in our dividend, and we got to figure out what we have to multiply a by so that we can get rid of that a squared inside the division symbol. And the answer is to divide it by, or to multiply it by a. So I'll multiply a times a minus 1, and I'll get a squared minus a. Now I'll subtract that from the first two terms in the dividend, and my answer will be minus 4a. I'll bring down the 3, and now I got to figure out what I have to multiply my a by to get minus 4a. Well, that's pretty easy. I got to multiply it by minus 4. So now I'll multiply minus 4 times a minus 1, and I'll get minus 4a plus 4. My minus 4a subtracted from minus 4a is going to leave no a's. And then I'm going to subtract 4 from positive 3, and I'll get negative 1. I have a remainder of negative 1. So my answer is a minus 4 plus negative 1 over a minus 1. Or I could rewrite that as a minus 4 minus 1 over a minus 1. Sometimes these problems are going to come to you in the wrong order or with missing terms, and this is a situation like that. And you're going to have to adjust the order and fill in the missing terms. Let's see how that works. We want to create a division problem of this. And our divisor in the problem at the bottom is minus 1 plus 2m. But standard form would make me put my variable at the left side and my constant number at the right side of the expression. So I'm going to rewrite that, 2m minus 1. Same's true of my dividend, 13 plus 4m squared. That's not in standard order. Let's rewrite that as 4m squared plus 13. We're not done yet. I can see that my first term in my dividend is m squared, or 4m squared. But I don't have then an m to the first powered term. I go directly to a constant number, 13. And I'm going to need to insert an m to the first power into there. Well, how many m's to the first power do I have? Well, I don't have any. So that's what I'll insert. 4m squared plus 0m plus 13. Now I've got an m squared, an m to the first power, and a constant value. And I'm not missing a term. Well, now it's just time to do some division. My 2m minus 1 would go into my 4m squared plus 0m 2m times. I'm going to multiply 2m times 2m minus 1, and I'll get 4m squared minus 2m. Now, when I do that subtraction, I'm going to get positive 2m. I'm subtracting negative 2m from 0. That's going to mean I get a positive 2m. Now I got to bring down my 13. And then I ask myself, how many times will 2m go into 2m? Well, the answer is pretty obvious, plus 1. So now I'm going to multiply plus 1 times 2m minus 1. And I'm going to get 2m minus 1. And when I subtract it, I get a remainder of 14. So my answer is 2m plus 1 plus 14 over 2m minus 1. Try this one. Hit your pause button, solve the problem, and then hit your forward key to move on to my solution. All right, well, I can see that my dividend and my divisor are not in the proper order. And if I'm going to divide these, I'm going to have to convert them to proper order. And I can also see that I'm missing a term in my dividend. So I'm going to have to correct both of those things. So I'm going to write this problem this way. That 5 plus x, I'm going to rewrite as x plus 5. And the 3x plus 2x squared, I'm going to have to change that too, to 2x squared plus 3x plus 0. Now it's easy. Now I just figure out how many times the x would go into 2x squared, or what I'd have to multiply that x by. And it's clear that I have to multiply it by 2x. When I multiply 2x times x plus 5, I get 2x squared plus 10x. When I subtract those, I get minus 7x. Now I need to bring down my 0, and I've got minus 7x plus 0. How many times will x plus 5 go into minus 7x? Well, I want to multiply it by minus 7. And when I multiply that by the entire term, I get minus 7x minus 35. When I do that subtraction, I get positive 35, which again is my remainder. So my answer is 2x minus 7 plus my remainder 35 over my dividend, or my divisor, x plus 5. Well, this looks like a complicated problem, but I'm going to show you a trick that'll help you do this pretty easily. This trick's called synthetic division, and you're going to use it a lot in the future. Here's how it works. First thing you do is create this kind of upside down division symbol. Now we're going to have to fill in some numbers into this division symbol, but we're not going to deal with the variables. We're going to solve this problem. We're going to do this division without considering the variables. We're just going to look at the coefficients, and we're going to look at the constant numbers. On the outside of this synthetic division symbol, I'm going to put 2. My divisor is x minus 2. I'm going to use positive 2. I'm going to change the sign of that minus 2 to positive 2, and that'll go outside my synthetic division symbol. Now I'm going to look at the coefficients of each of the terms in my dividend. The first term is x cubed, and my coefficient is 1. The second term is 3x squared. My coefficient is 3. My third term is minus 4x. My coefficient is minus 4. And my constant value, my constant number, is minus 9. So I'm going to put those numbers inside the synthetic division symbol. 1, 3, minus 4, and 9. Now I start at the left, and I bring that 1 right down below the synthetic division symbol. Then I multiply that 1 by the 2 out here in our divisor. And I put that 2, the result of 1 times 2, below the 3, my second coefficient. Now I add the 3 and the 2, and I put that down below the synthetic division symbol. I put 5 down there. And we just continue this process. Next, I multiply that 5 times the 2, and I put it over here. 5 times 2 is 10. Now I add the 10 and the minus 4, and I get 6. Now I multiply that 6 times the 2, and I get 12. And then I add the minus 9 and the 12, and I get 3. Well, believe it or not, we're done. And here's how it works. First of all, you need to remember that your answer, the highest power in your answer, is going to be x squared. Our dividend was x, our highest power in our dividend was x cubed, but we're dividing it by 1x, so we're going to take it down 1 power. And my highest power in my answer is going to be x squared. And the coefficient of that x squared is going to be this 1. And my next power is going to be just x to the first power. And the coefficient will be 5. And my constant number will be 6. And my remainder will be 3. So it'll look like this. 1x squared plus 5x plus 6 plus 3 over x minus 2. Okay, try this one. Hit your pause button, try the problem, and then hit your forward key to move on to my answer. I know a bunch of you think this is very confusing, but trust me, if you practice this a little bit and remember the steps that you have to take, you're going to find synthetic divisions kind of fun and real easy. So let's practice with this problem. First, let's write our synthetic division symbol. And now we're going to deal with our divisor. Our divisor is x plus 3. But I got to change the sign of that plus 3. And I'll put minus 3 outside of the synthetic division symbol. Now I'm going to put the coefficients of the dividend inside the synthetic division symbol. And let's look at those coefficients. My highest powered term is x to the 4th. And my coefficient is 1. Then I go, the next symbol in the dividend is x squared. There is no x to the 3rd power. So I'm going to have to assume an x to the 3rd with a coefficient of 0. So my second coefficient will be 0. My third will be minus 10. My fourth will be minus 2. And my last will be plus 3. So I'm going to write 1, 0, minus 10, minus 2, plus 3 inside the synthetic division symbol. Now, I just bring down that 1. I multiply that 1 by minus 3 and put it under the 0. I add those two terms and I get minus 3. I multiply minus 3 times minus 3 and I get positive 9. Now I add and I get negative 1. I multiply and I get positive 3. I add and I get positive 1. I multiply and I get negative 3. I add positive 3 and negative 3 and I get a remainder of 0. Well, now I have the coefficients of my answer. And I got to remember that my original dividend, the highest power was x to the 4th. So in my answer, in my quotient, my highest power will be x to the 3rd. And this 1 over here is going to be the coefficient of x to the 3rd. And this minus 3 is going to be the coefficient of x squared. And that minus 1 is the coefficient of x. And that last 1 is my constant value. So my answer is x cubed minus 3x squared minus x plus 1. Well, that's our lesson on dividing polynomials and synthetic division. I hope you learned a lot. Now it's time to test your skills. Go to www.mastermath.info and you'll find worksheets and quizzes there that'll help make sure you understand this concept. Well, I hope you had a good time, and I hope you come back again real soon.